Siva, your speaker is not here yet.
You can't hear me?
Your speaker is not here yet.
Oh, yeah, she said she will come a bit late.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, friends, and welcome you all to our Interfaith Prayer and Discussion, the weekly meetings that we have been having for more than 2 years. And this is number 142. And the purpose of this meeting is to foster the devotional character of our society and to bring understanding among various religions, that the source of all the religions are one and the common foundation of all religions, thereby removing the prejudices, more importantly, the religious prejudice. And I hope we can strive in our own way to bring about this change in the world and establish the peace in the world. So this is a program for today. There will be honoring indigenous people in the land. That will be done by Colin, and then there will be the devotional part where we read from different religions. There will be a music at the beginning, and then the readings as allocated, and there will be a closing music. After that, we will introduce the speaker, and the speaker today is Sacha Evans, and she is going to talk about your personality, a way towards greater understanding of your deeper self. So now I invite Colin to give the honor to the land and people of this country.
Thank you, Perry. And I would like to acknowledge the indigenous people, the Gadigal and Bidjigal clans of the area where I live and Young live, and the unfortunate history that the whole Aboriginal people have had, where we, well, not us personally, but the settlers took their land from them, but also disrupted their cultural systems and their ability to provide for their families and to protect their children. And only after 200 years, we're gradually starting to try and make amends, but we're doing it in a very clumsy way. And considering all that's happened, the indigenous people have been very gracious, and their poets remind us that we're all part of one humanity, and that essentially we are spiritual. So, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Robert. When number 6 comes, will you be able to read?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And also, there is number is Sacha. Okay, Sacha is here. Sacha, we are starting with our devotional program. So I ask everyone to mute their mic and except those who are going to read.
Sorry, do you need me to read something or say something? Sorry.
No, we are going to start the devotional program. You can listen.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, oppressors on earth, withdraw your hands from tyranny, for I have pledged myself not to forgive any man's injustice. This is my covenant, which I have irrevocably decreed in the preserved tablet, and sealed it with my seal of glory. This is my covenant, which I have irrevocably decreed in the preserved tablet, and sealed it with my seal of glory, of glory, of glory, of glory, of glory. This is my covenant.
At present, the light of reconciliation is dimmed in most countries, and its radiance extinguished, while the fire of strife and disorder hath been kindled and is blazing fiercely. Two great powers who regard themselves as the founders and leaders of civilization and the framers of constitutions have risen up against the followers of the faith associated with him who conversed with God. Be ye warned, O men of understanding, it ill beseemeth the station of man to commit tyranny. Rather it behoveth him to observe equity, and be attired with the raiment of justice under all conditions. Beseech ye the one true God, that he may, through the power of the hand of loving kindness and spiritual education, purge and purify certain souls from the defilement of evil passions and corrupt desires, that they may arise and unloose their tongues for the sake of God, that perchance the evidences of injustice may be blotted out, and the splendor of the light of justice may shed its radiance upon the whole world. The High Scripture.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Christian Scriptures.
Let us behave with others as we would with ourselves. Let us look upon all living beings as our good friends, for in all of them there resides one soul. All are but part of that universal soul. A person who believes that all are his soulmates and loves them all alike never feels lonely. The divine qualities of forgiveness, compassion, and service will make him lovable in the eyes of all. He will experience intense joy throughout his life. Hindu Scriptures.
May the wise Lord, who reigns at his will, grant to each of us that which he desires. I desire strength and endurance to uphold righteousness. This do thou give me, O devotion, the rich rewards, the life of the good mind, and may the sovereign good be ours, according as one desires bliss, may one receive bliss through thy most far-seeing Spirit. O Lord, the wonders of the good mind which thou wilt give as righteousness with the joy of long life all the days.
Safety and in bliss, may the creatures of all be of peaceful heart. Whatever living things there are, whether weak or strong, with none excepted, great or small, seen or unseen, dwelling far or near, born or awaiting birth, may all be blessed with peace. Let no one work another one's undoing, or show contempt in any place. Let no one wish another harm through provocation or resentful thought. Just as a mother with her life protects her child, her only child, let all the embracing thoughts for all that lives be yours, and all embracing love for all the universe in all its height and depth and breadth. Buddhist scripture.
And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of the harvest, and thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of the vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shall you profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him who is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor favor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not go up and down at the tabernacle among the people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord, and thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in no wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of the people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Scrooge Scripture.
And seeing the multitudes, he went up into the mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manners of evil against you, falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which we were before you. Christian scripture.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Mankind was but one people, and God sent prophets to announce glad tidings and to warn, and he sent down with them the book of truth, that it might decide the disputes of men, and none disputed, but those to whom the book had been given. After the clear tokens had reached them, being full of mutual jealousy. And God guided those who believed to the truth, that about which, by his permission, they had disputed. For God guideth whom he pleaseth into the straight path. Islamic scripture.
O humankind, verily ye are all the leaves and fruits of one tree. Ye are all one. Therefore, associate in friendship, love one another, abandon prejudices of race, dispel forever this gloomy darkness of human ignorance. For the century of light, the sun of reality hath appeared. Now is the time for affiliation, and now is the period of unity and concord. For thousands of years, ye have been contending in warfare and strife. It is enough. Now is the time for unity. Lay aside all self-purposes and know for a certainty that all men are the servants of one God, who will bind them together in love and agreement. Baha'i scripture.
Come down and walk these roads around the city of Tehran, where 7 candles burn. Follow me, all you who claim to be possessed of charity, down to the crimson sea. 100,000 veils have covered the sun, and darkest clouds have blocked and blackened the blue sky. Did you hear the fate of those who educate, who even in the grave find no respite from hate? Have you seen the youth who gave their lives for truth? That girl who kissed the news and welcomed all abuse. 100,000 sons have fallen to earth with blasts that block the ears from hearing the news song. 100,000 veils have covered the truth. How many mothers' cries are lost in the tumult? There is no war to fight. You have no sacred right, no holy book to cite to make these wrongs seem right. Does it so offend to want this world to mend, to walk in hope to the end, and see each man a friend? Come down and walk these roads around the cities of Iran, which boast so much to man.
Thank you, friends, for reading these holy words. I hope you all enjoyed and take home the meanings of these words, which is trying to build unity and peace among peoples of the world. For the benefit of those who join late and maybe for the first time, we have these weekly interfaith and discussion meetings on Thursdays here. And the purpose is to foster the devotional character of the society and to bring understanding among different religions and the followers of different religions, that there is a common foundation for all these religions and the source of all these religions are one, and thereby trying to remove the religious prejudice, which is one of the serious stumbling block for establishing peace. And here we are to learn from each other and we are not trying to establish one's own belief or ideas. And I like to remind this quotation that I have been mentioning many times. This is from the Universal Laws of Justice, the supreme administrative body of the Baha'i Faith. It says, whether through deeds or words, the merit of your every contribution to social well-being lies first in your resolute commitment to discover that precious point of unity where contrasting perspectives overlap and around which contending peoples can coalesce. So we have to try and harmonize perspectives and find the common thing in our contrasting views. With that, I'd like to introduce our speaker, such events. He is not a stranger to us. She was here a few times before and gave presentation a couple of times. Though I have not met her personally, but I met her on the cyberspace. She's a life coach, the founder of the coaching space and the Hypno Pathways, and a Zumba teacher, and a very ardent surfer. So welcome, Sacha, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Siva. I'm wanting to know, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
That's great. Thank you. So I appreciate being invited to come and speak again, and I appreciate what I've just listened to, the wise words and heartfelt meanings of the different scriptures from the different religions, especially in this time of concern in the world. So what I hope to share tonight, I'm hoping that you can see the common ground that I offer as an offer. I'm not saying it's the truth and the way. I'm simply saying it's an offer. So here we are. Last time I did talk about the personality structure as the ego structure, and how that, and in this talk, how it relates to understanding our deeper self. So please do, if you don't understand or would like clarity, pause me and ask me to get greater understanding. That's absolutely okay.
Sure.
I'm going to sometimes refer to my notes that I've written in front of me. So tonight, I'm going to begin by asking a few questions of each of you as you sit there in your own homes, wherever you are. And they're simply there for you to ponder silently, or even write them down if you care to. That's up to you. So trusting that you're ready, I'll begin with the first question.
Sure.
Do you ever get a sense, even just a small part of you, that hopes that in the interactions that you have as you go about your everyday life, that you hope that you will be thought well of? That's the first question. Second question. Do you ever feel upset when someone doesn't seem to think or feel good or well about you? And does that bother you at all? Third question. Do you hear a voice in your head talking to you almost constantly? And if you now silently ask What voice is she talking about? That's the one right there. What one? That one, the one that's asking. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Have you ever thought you were right about something and felt very frustrated or annoyed that your friend or your family couldn't see how right you were? Next question. Have you ever been pleasant and polite and nice on the outside, while on the inside you didn't feel so kindly towards someone else? Next question. Have you ever avoided a very difficult conversation with a family member or a friend for fear of upsetting them, for fear of conflict with them? Next question. Have you ever felt any, even a little bit, resentment towards a partner, perhaps, or a friend, because they didn't seem to care as much about you as you cared about them, give as much to you as you've given to them? These I offer are the struggles of the personality structure, the ego structure, which is not actually the deeper you. So now I'd like you to think of a baby. And here's hoping that you will have brought up a baby yourself, or you've had some contact with a baby at some stage in your life. I remember my son when he was a baby, one evening, it was actually my older brother's wedding, and my baby boy was maybe 3 or 4 months. And there was a moment I observed, and it was a beautiful moment. My son was smiling at a friend of my mother's, and she smiled back. And it was one of those really lovely moments. There was such an openness, such an embrace, a feeling that I could see in my baby's eyes, and I could see in my mother's friend's eyes, and I could see the delight in both of their eyes. And the reason I'm sharing this short story is that for me, it touches on a little bit of what my talk is about, in that our deeper self is always within us. Whether we're aware of it or not, it's a bit covered over with clouds. And so that sense that my baby boy expressed and showed me and displayed that evening, that's within us all. That's the deeper self, which is kind of like an oceanic consciousness. See, my baby boy hadn't learned that. He couldn't have learned that. It was within him already. Nobody had to teach him that. Nobody taught him that. He was not thinking it would be nice of him to smile at the stranger. He wasn't thinking it would be the correct thing to do or the righteous thing to do. He wasn't thinking it would be generous of him to smile at the stranger, because he hadn't even learned to think yet. So the baby boy didn't have a personality yet, didn't have an ego to protect or to defend or to strive to make bigger or better or more attractive to others or to himself. And it's not to say that the ego structure, the personality structure, is a bad thing or something that we should do away with. It's a much needed part of our development, of our socialization. It's necessary the offer is until it's not. Because the personality's job is to reflect and fulfill the values, the highest values of our culture, of our communities, of our families, of our faith, and to be seen to do this. And in doing so, it reinforces those high values, and the wheels of our community continue to go round in that way. So again, personalities, structures are useful and are necessary until they are not so much. So the deeper self, this is what Eckhart Tolle and Gabor Mate point to often. It's what's underneath the surface, it's what's underneath the personality structure, underneath the ego structure. But in our day-to-day lives, most of us, mostly, generalization, we deal with the surface, we deal with the personality structures, we deal with the ego structures in ourselves and in others. We deal with the surface layers. Do you ever get the sense that you're striving, working towards something? Because in our culture, it's very, very common. As we're taught to value hard work and a good amount of effort. So the offer here is that the deeper self lives underneath our efforting and our striving to be like this, to do that, to do this, to be right, to be generous, to be seen to be loving, to be seen to achieve. Our deeper self lives and lies underneath our striving to be unique, to be loyal, to be trustworthy, to be a good leader. Our deeper self lies underneath all of that. Our deeper self lies underneath our striving to be nice, to be accommodating, to be genial. Then the talk I gave last time, I likened the personality structure to clothing, that which we wear to look attractive, also provides us protection. To look nice in front of others, and to look nice in front of the mirror to yourself. And people often, I've often heard people say, that's just how I am. That's just what I do. That's just who I am. I'm that kind of person. And what's on offer here is that your personality or your shades of personalities are actually a learnt bundle of strategies intended to give you and I, intended to give us a deeper desire, a deeper outcome, a desired outcome of being loved and being lovable, of being deemed to be worthy, to be valuable to those around us. And the roles that we choose to play are worthy roles, valuable roles. And the point of this offering is to be able to step back, to see this play out at a distance, just to be able to see it, not to judge it, not to say that we shouldn't be like that we shouldn't seek love, because that's an offer, part of essentially our human nature. Connectedness, relatedness, belongingness, helping and cooperating, and being with each other. But just to see it, see what we're aiming to get for ourselves. by the choices we make, by the roles we play. And there's nothing wrong with seeking to feel lovable, with seeking to feel loved, because it's a perfectly natural development in children and in teens and in young adults and in all of us at every age. Our challenge then is to recognize how often and to what extent we each strive to be accepted and to not be rejected, to be thought well of, and to what extent we frighten ourselves with the fear of rejection, of push back or push away from the people in our life, from the family, from the friends. I'm going to digress a little bit here and mention animals, because most animals have a blueprint for how to be, for how to live and how to survive, wired into their DNA, but humans do not. Instead, we need to be taught how to be, how to live, how to think, how to feel. And the offer is that our deeper self, the essence that is deeply connected and related to the inexplicable, the undefinable, the vastness all around us, which some and many refer to as God, others call it by other names, is not so much to be found in what we have been taught by our parents and our teachers and our cultures and our communities, but more when we quieten the voice in the head, we quieten in the mind, because the deeper self waits for us to let go of the grip that our personality structure has on us. Because the personality strives and struggles to appear to be good, to be worthy, to be attractive. But when we can see that, often it's easier to see it in others than in ourselves, because the ego structure is a slippery entity, doesn't really like to be seen to be doing what it's doing. It's doesn't want to be found out, really. But if we can bring compassion to that ego structure, and compassion, understanding and compassion to the ego structure in another person, we can also bring compassion and understanding to the ego structure in ourselves. And just watch how the offer is, the exercise is just to watch how it shows up. Watch how it nudges its head, tries to get some attention. And I liken it to a small child, because actually it is very like a small child. It was formed in childhood, and it really simply wants reassurance. It wants to feel itself worthy, valuable, okay. And so as we learn to have compassion with what we are not, which is an ego structure that's masquerading as us, but lives on the surface of us, we can have compassion for that misunderstanding that we need those clothes, and we need what we think we need, what the ego structure thinks it needs to be worthy. As we feel the compassion towards ourselves, we extend the compassion towards others. So I'm going to pause and just see if I'm making any sense to any of you. You're very quiet, and I know some from the last talk I gave. I'm not sure if my talk was understood or not. based on the responses or the questions that I receive. So
Yes.
I can go on, but I'll just pause for a moment just to see if there is understanding in the room.
So the observer is the one that is deeper self.
Yes, yes, different terminology, but yes, yes.
And but the one that is want to be loved or seen to be majestic or whatever it is, what is the connection between that deeper self and the one that is actually wanting to be seen this way or that way?
Thank you for asking that question, Siva. Good question. And that's what actually my topic said is how is the personality structure related to the deeper self? So as you said, in your words, the personality structure is that in us that we're conscious of, that wanting and wishing to be thought well of, that and those strategies that, oh, if I do this, I do that, I say this, I say that, then I'll be acceptable. How does that relate to the deeper self? Well, the deeper self is, you're right, the observer of that which can look at that and realize that that is not who I truly am. Because most of our lives, generalization, many people assume or have been conditioned or reinforced, and it almost seems perfectly natural to assume that who I am is what I do and what I believe in and the way I act and the way my personality is. A lot of people assume that's who they are. But the observer, the deeper self, when that develops a capacity and ability to look at that from a distance, the deeper self is that which is looking at those strategies and those activities of the ego structure, of the personality. The personality is not who you are. Personality is just your strategies that are aiming to get you loved because the personality structure actually has a misunderstanding that it's inadequate, that it's actually very inadequate. That's the misunderstanding of children, that they try then throughout their lives to compensate for or work to fix, work to improve or heal. The childhood wound is that I am inadequate. And so for children go into teens and young adults and adults still with the wound, but the wound, it's like the personality structure is like a Band-Aid that's trying to fix the wound. And the Band-Aid is the clothing, and the Band-Aid is the activities that are trying to be enough, trying to appear enough, trying to be worthy, trying to be valuable to everybody and to themselves. And ironically, the more striving, the harder somebody tries to be which underneath they actually imagine they are, the more it locks it in.
And also you said that the deeper self is connected to that ocean or
oceanic consciousness.
Unconsciousness.
Yeah, it's just another way of saying it. Like the observer is another way of saying the deeper or the deepest self. or the oceanic consciousness is the observer in a sense. Like the baby, like when I began the
your sons.
talk likening to a baby, because the baby hasn't learned anything yet, right?
Yes.
So in a sense, we have our life, we start as a baby and we go, and then in our older life, ideally, it's almost as if we're returning to that baby-like consciousness, that oceanic consciousness that is simply very open to everything and stops trying to defend and stops trying to protect and stops and realizes the futility of arguing in a sense. Because as what I imagine you all believe, we are one. So, did that make sense?
Yes, yes. Yeah. And how, at one point you mentioned that undefinable, which is sometimes we call God. How is it connected to God, the deeper self?
Oh, that's another beautiful question. Thank you, Siva. Well, let me see if I can find some words that can point to that. How is God connected to the deeper self? So from here, I think God is wanting for us, humanity, all of humanity, to let go of our human egoic struggles, our human egoic arguments, our human striving and struggling, trying to be better than the other person, etc., and be like the baby. And then that deeper self, that the capacity, that observer, that deeper self, that oceanic consciousness, that's almost a direct communion with God, I think. Because when all the clouds are removed and the sun is there, then the deeper connection to God is more possible. But while the ego, the personality, is preoccupied with its preoccupations, then the communion with God, to me, to hear is less possible. There's more like a radio. There's more fuzziness in the way.
What you said just reminded me of what I learned from Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah wrote many books, and one of them is called The Hidden Words. And the hidden words are written as if God is talking to us directly. And he says in this passage, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Now he says that, O son of being, with the hands of power I made thee, with the fingers of strength I created thee. Within thee have I placed the essence of my light. Be thou content with it and seek naught else. For my work is perfect and my command is binding. Question it not, nor have a doubt thereof. So I see some commonality between what you said and what God says in this hidden word, that God has placed the essence of his light within us. Probably that is that deeper self that you were talking about. And because that is the essence of God, therefore it is connected with God.
Yeah, thank you, Siva.
And also he says that be thou content with it and seek not else. So the strategies that your personality strategies that we are trying to do as to establish something in this life. But I think he says, seek not else, for my work is perfect and command is binding. So I see the parallel. And thank you. And I think Jung and Colin has raised their hands. So maybe I will ask Jung to ask question or comment.
Okay.
Thank you. I think your topic is very complicated. First of all, the topic involving children or adults. There are division theory and practice about adult or children. Theory and practice about the illness people, the people who hear the voices, mental illness, and the people who are not like that. I mean, healthy people. And the personality, we have to analyze, is a good personality or bad personality? Because the way we talk, people might misunderstand the main point. The observer, the deeper self, for me, is naturally connected to God. If God accepted that deeper self, because that by nature, people are angels. When they were born, and they born into a society, and then they become something different later on. So that too many aspects we have to look into. The thing that the way you talk, I just had a feeling about somebody. I don't know whether I get it right or wrong, but I just got somebody who have bipolar. Like you talk about bipolar patient, like you are in a medical field and you study about people with bipolar, means they have two different characters. So one is deeper self, another one is personality structure. And now we think about somebody who can find a job is a diplomat. A diplomat is a person who can have a deeper self and who also can have personality structure. So that is another aspect of the theory that we should explore. So that's what you see. The topic is very rich, and we cannot generalize, put in one basket. We have to do business analysis. And this is very important subject. And I said, I tell you a story. One girl, she's only young, she got a job. She just, she's not super or anything, but she just had a job, a very good job. So her mom talked to the auntie, who are very wealthy women, very rich, super rich. One woman said, oh, Mary just got a job, a good job. And the other lady said, because of her personality, that's why she got that good job. So if we narrow down the personality, the good personality will get good job. So that's all the women was thinking about. They don't get things complicated, you see. So when we heard about that, we said, oh, that's the reason how she got a job. We don't know about her skills yet. We don't know about if she can do the job. But the two women said, that person, Mary, got a job because of her personality. So that's why I just want to narrow down a few things. But your topic is like, we can read into it like 100 books, depending on which one you want to focus on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to respond to that, thank you. I'm not sure what your name is.
Jung.
As briefly as I can, as concisely as I can. Yeah, I feel like I have let you down actually, because I haven't been clear, and it, to me, it seems misunderstanding again. I'm not really sure where to begin, because there's a lot in what you shared, and there was a few different points in what you shared. I wasn't talking about mental illness when I said about the voice in your head. I am assuming most of us have a voice in our head, a silent voice that talks to us almost constantly. Just not a bad thing. It's, we know we are thinking because we're aware of our thoughts, and our thoughts are the voice in our head. That's what I meant by that. As far as a good personality will get you a good job, yes, of course, I understand that point. The point of talking about the personality structure is not to say that it's not good or it's bad to have a personality structure, is more to see that the personality structure is I'm going to use a metaphor again. It's like a beautiful set of clothes that you put on because you've learnt that the people around you admire that kind of clothing. And so you wear it to look good in front of them, look pleasing to them. So the personality structure is a reflection and an expression of society's highest values, which is lovely. And it serves good purpose. For instance, getting a good job. However, the connection to the deeper self is that personality is not who they are, not who you are, not who I am. The way I typically, habitually show up in the world is not who I am. It's not my deeper self. It's my learnt way of being, handed down to me by my parents, teachers, everybody. And it's helped me to fit in, which is lovely. But it's not the deeper self. And the deeper self is a pathway to communion with that which is beyond. I might go to the next person. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Colin and then Ahmed.
Yes.
Thank you, Sacha. Yeah, look, I think I'm on the same page as you in everything you said. With those 7 questions, I answered yes to 6 of them, and I didn't understand the third one, although you were just talking about it. But could you just read the third question again?
The third question at the beginning?
Yeah, about the voice in our heads.
Ah, it was about the voice in your head. Okay. Yes. Do you hear the voice inside your head talking to you almost constantly? And if you ask silently, what voice inside my head? I can't hear you saying that, but if you hear yourself asking, what voice is she talking about? That's the one I'm talking about. That one right there. It's anything you say to yourself silently that you're aware that you're thinking, that's the voice in your head. That's all I meant by that.
Yeah, I think I'll answer yes to that one. But just to make sure I sort of understand, is there? I think there could be 2 voices going on. One is the voice which sometimes we're speaking it, and sometimes we're just saying it silently. But there's something else which is observing, and possibly
there's something else that is observing is the deeper self. Right,
that's what I thought.
It's always there, like, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. I think I'll answer yes to that question as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ahmed? And then
yeah, Sasha, thank you for your talk. You used a lot of terminologies that was unfamiliar with me, but then I kind of tried and matched it with the concepts that I am more familiar in different religions. And I thought that, yeah, he was matching with many things that are there. Like Baha'u'llah says, a human being is made of the spirit, soul, and the body. And the inner self that you said could be the spirit and things like that. Let me read you a quotation from Baha'u'llah, and then which leads to my questions then. He says, O thou who art the Lord of all names and the maker of the heavens, I beseech thee by them who are the day springs of thine invisible essence, the most exalted, the all glorious. Day springs, he means the manifestations of God. To make of my prayer a fire that will burn away the veils which have shut me out from thy beauty, and a light that will lead me onto the ocean of thy presence. Now, my questions are like this. Here he says, ocean of my presence, and then I could match it with what you said, ocean of, what the terminology used?
Yes.
Oceanic consciousness?
Oceanic consciousness.
Consciousness, yeah.
Yeah. And then he says that make my prayer like a fire. He uses metaphor of fire to burn that veil that prevents me from getting to that oceanic consciousness, or ocean of thy presence. So my question is that, do you think that meditation and prayer, conversing with God, would allow us to modify our personality, our characters, in a way that it will align with that ocean of thy presence, or oceanic consciousness?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So my sense of meditation actually comes from a fellow who's passed away named Krishnamurti. And for him, meditation wasn't so much silencing the mind, but it was observing the mind, just observing the thoughts as they arose and passed by. And so the point of meditation is to observe and watch without judgment the activities, in a sense, of your personality structure, of the ego structure, because the thoughts, whatever you're occupied with, preoccupied in your mind, it's likely, if you haven't got distance from them, if you've identified yourself wholly in it, thinking that that is you, then that's why you need meditation, to be able to distance yourself and realize that all of those thoughts that you're having, all of those emotions you're having, aren't you. Mm-hmm. Like your thoughts aren't you, and your emotions aren't you, aren't the real you, aren't the deeper you. They're the activities of the personality, in a sense. And so by meditating, you get to see that you are actually the observer watching the movie of all the constructions that you've made up in your mind. I realize the terminology might not be landing for many of you.
But could these be the attributes of our soul that are manifesting themselves? But that essence that you said is this, what's the inner self, could be the spirit that all the religions talk about, that everyone is made of. That
underneath all the stuff.
Underneath
all the stuff is the essence, is the spirit, is the soul.
Yeah.
And the soul is like a ray of sunshine, and God is the sun, and we're a ray of sunshine, and we come like the ray comes from the sun. But we're not going to say that we are God, because God's like the sun and we are a ray of sunshine. Yeah. So our essence, our true deeper self is much deeper and underneath all the thinking. The thinking is what we've been gifted by wherever we've been planted, in the gardens that we've been planted in. But
do we need that conversation with God so that we can elevate these, our beings, elevate our inner self? Or
I would offer that we converse with God when the thoughts fade, and when the thoughts cease to be like a monkey, like we converse with God in stillness and in silence. That's when, because in a sense, the thoughts and the emotions are the trappings of the personality structure. But God is beyond, much more beyond that.
My second question is this. I'll read another quotation again. It says here, oh my God, and the Son of God, sorry, I start from here. Behold me standing ready to do thy will and thy desire, and wishing naught else except thy good pleasure. So should the human beings seek the pleasure of God by aligning themselves with the will of God?
As far as my understanding is that it sounds like those are worthwhile stepping stones. Yes.
Essential.
Yeah. The trick is, or we can get tripped up in a sense by, and some spiritual teachers do, they get tripped up by labeling themselves, I am a spiritual person, or I am a spiritual teacher. And that's the ego talking again, right? That's the personality wanting to be seen to be spiritual, whereas God doesn't really want that, right? The meek, the kind of the ego-less is much closer to God than somebody that puts, says, I am this and I am that.
Exactly, yeah.
But there are stepping stones definitely to take in service and as we move closer to God. Yes.
Okay, thanks. I'll leave because Basanta I'll need to ask a question.
Thank you. I'll take one more and then I think I must be off.
Oh, thank you, sir. But I'm finding it a bit difficult to understand. One is because I don't know what's the relationship between the questions that you asked and what you presented. Also, I have to accept that my internet was sometime dropping me and out and taking, I couldn't listen fully some of the things. But I just want to know what is the connection between the questions that you asked us in front, the first and
I'm really glad you asked that. Yes,
present.
I really think it would have been better or best practice for me to have linked. Why did I ask those questions in the beginning? For sure. I asked those questions because those questions are the questions that the personality structure struggles with, the ego structure struggles with. Do you ever feel upset when someone doesn't seem to think well of you? Personality structure is struggling with that. Your deeper self doesn't struggle with that kind of thing. But the personality structure will struggle because the personality structure, the ego structure, is wanting to be loved, is wanting to be lovable, is wanting to be seen, to be worthy, to be valuable. And so when somebody doesn't seem to like you, it's the personality structure, it's the ego structure that is now struggling itself. it's being reminded of its wound, which was that, and it's been reminded that that it feels inadequate and it doesn't like it. And so the first question I asked, do you get a sense that there's a part of you that hopes that in your daily interactions, you hope that you will be thought well of? Then if you answered yes to that, then you're aware that that's what your personality structure, that's what your ego structure is seeking for yourself, to be thought well of. And it's not to say it's a bad thing, but it's the point is to see it. And in the seeing, it kind of, I'm not going to say it's curative, but it's just seeing it, just seeing that that's what you're doing. It helps you to greater self-awareness, greater self-knowledge, and as you get the greater awareness and knowledge of how you are showing up in the world and for what purpose, that's the purpose, that you will be thought well of, then it's like it's a stepping stone to having compassion for yourself, and with that having compassion for other people around you, because if everybody's doing that, and then if somebody shows up in a way that you find tiresome or annoying, you'll be able to think inside, behind their show, behind their performance, if you like, behind the way they're showing up, is this ego structure that's desperately trying to get your approval. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the other questions?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who have not asked any questions or comments? Because Sacha has to leave soon. Sepide, Marina,
Dore wants to ask.
Pina. Oh, Dore and then Pina. Okay, quick.
Yes.
I think, thank you very much. I think Sasha was still talking about the question, but I was late for the talk, but I listened to all the questions. Not question, but I just want to know, our mind or our ego always talking, but how do we get to a simple way to get closer to the real self of ourselves? Is there a shortcut to get there?
An easy way, a shortcut. You want an easy, quick fix?
Yeah. We can quieten our mind by observing, but then what to think? Is that the virtues, the right to be righteous? Is that the one which takes you to your real self? Like our real self is like being, to have love, all the good virtues, love and kindness and compassion and all that. Is that the right way of, if we are doing
in a very quick, simple answer, yes and no, and no and yes. It really depends on the intention, I suppose. But mostly, I suppose with the teachings of the Buddha and the Hindu, Sufi and so on, right action leads to right karma, and in the Christian faith, by doing good, definitely you help others, and you realize that you feel good because you're helping others, and so by doing right kind of actions, it is a stepping stone, yes, towards the deeper life, the deeper self, and the self in alignment with God, if you like. However, the only trip up or the only obstacle to that is that sometimes if the personality structure is really depending on being seen to be good, depending on, or the intention is that I want to be seen to be righteous, and I want to be seen to be spiritual, and I want to be seen to be godly and correct, then the person that is doing that for that reason is still going to struggle, and so that will keep them away in a sense, or disconnected from God, because this is the human struggle. This is the human battleground, if you like. And the deeper self is beyond that, I suppose, the best word. It's developing the capacity to look at that and go, there it is again, without judgment. And then when people actually do good action and beautiful loving kindness and everything purely for the sake that they have realized, it's a realization that this is nothing to do with the way that they want to be seen. It's something that they do, and they're not looking for a reward, they're not looking for recognition, they're not looking for anything other than doing it for the sake of doing it, because they've had a realization that it's in alignment with the deeper self and with God. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. And Panja?
Yeah.
Pina, did you want to say something? Okay, after Panja, you can say.
Okay. What I understood from the talk is that our personality is influenced by circumstances. We are put into a circumstance, and then we reflect our personality. However, when we reflect on our inner self, then we bring out the best in us. In the first instant, we are governed by the circumstances around us. And as Shakespeare says, the world is a stage and we are all the actors. Just like world is a puppet show. And then at the end of the show, we put the puppets into the box. So that's the human personality reflection, where we have confines and our experiences, and you will be upset, and then the inner voice in you is all there with us. We don't pay much attention. But if you go to a psychiatrist and say, I hear the inner voice, you say, you have some problem, and he'll give you a medication. So this is all the human character, as you say, is the personality development. And you are right about something and people say it's wrong and you feel offended, and you might smile, but inside your heart, you are having pain. And then you fear offending other people. You want to be nice, but whereas your inner self says, no, this is not the right thing. So all this, and then resentment about your partner. For life, you live with a partner whom you don't agree, but you live because you want to show your personality that you are adoptable, you are peaceful. But this is all acting. I mean, as a drama in life, real life, except for the oceanic consciousness, where the baby boy is innocent of such feelings and things, and he reflects the sunshine on his eyes and the radiance in the senior old person, where the love is genuine. I mean, when a baby sees a person and smiles, that love is genuine. That's the oceanic consciousness. And the personality structured in each one is very special. And we have to reflect it according to the space or environment around us. It's a lot of psychology and maturity of understanding human beings itself. We are in a world where each character is different. No one person is the same as the other, even though we said that, we are very close, we are friendly, we are loving. There is some little differences. So the personality only comes out when you have understood your deeper self through meditation, prayers, and scriptures, and you react in a way where influence of the circumstances around you. There are two types of personality, as you said. The one outer personality is that the circumstances control your life. The other one is the true self, inner self, where you talk about spirituality, education of the scriptures and the deepest insight and meditation. So that's what I understand from your talk. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I realized it sounded like you were summarizing. Thank you. I'll take one more and then I think I'm going to say goodbye.
One more question, Sacha, from Pina.
Pina.
Yes. Pina, you want to comment?
Yes. Thank you for your talk. It is so important to know oneself. The questions you have posed is to remind us to think who we are. Why am I existing in this world? Why am I created? What would I do now since I'm existing? So we need, as you mentioned, that what the Bible said, that we should be like a child again to enter the kingdom. So being pure as a child is as you said, that it doesn't need to think to smile. You see, it's natural. It's created that way to be so friendly, so pure, so innocent, an angel, really angel. We all are created noble. We are all created angel until we acquire these other things in life. And then it forms a habit. And similarly, what Baha'u'llah said, that humble thyself before me, that I may graciously visit thee. Arise for the triumph of my cause, that while yet on earth thou mayest obtain the victory. So then I start to think, why God is created me? And then he said that he created me because he loves me. Before he created me, he already know his love for me. Therefore, he created me. And so you have that love and you are assured of that love. And then I should be humble, because he said, humble thyself that I may graciously visit thee. So this humbleness is so wonderful, that thank you for reminding us to be humble, because it is the door towards spirituality. It is the way to attract the blessings from God. And while trying to know ourselves, we are reminded that we are created in the image of God. What is this image? Who am I? Now this image is the soul that we have. You see? And so now we are again assessing ourselves. Who really am I? Am I hearing voices in my head? Am I assessing myself constantly? Who am I? And then you start to think, who is my standard? When we were young, our standards were our parents, to please them. And then when you go to school, your standard becomes your teacher or your friends who will approve you. And then you are growing up to be a youth. And then you are confused. Who is really my standard? And thank God, we have the spiritual teachings that we can weigh our actions, our words, our attitudes from what the Holy Writing says. Of course, in the school, we learn the 10 Commandments. You see, so from there, we start to think that we need to honor our parents, our father, our mother. We should not steal. We should not kill. Like that, all those are our lessons to learn that we should be aware of ourselves with. So now that, for me, the standard of to be righteous and to please God is the Holy Writings, the words of God, either the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, the Bhagavad Gita. Now we have the teachings of Baha'u'llah that we need to read daily. And one of them is what I have recited, humble thyself, that I may graciously visit thee. And then it is our duty to educate ourselves, to read the writings daily, because it says, Baha'u'llah himself said that man is a mine rich in gems of inestimable value. Education can alone cause it to reveal its treasures and enable mankind to benefit therefrom. So for me to be faithful to that standard, I will need to educate myself. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pina. Okay.
I'm going to say goodbye now, Siva. Thank you to everybody for having me.
Thank you very much.
See you again soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ave Maria.
Thank you, Sasha.
So we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.